So where's the one place that Georgia had better win on Saturday against the Arkansas Razorbacks? I'm going to tell you that right now. Dean Legge from Dog Post, Making You a Smarter Georgia Fan, really was at one of these days in Athens that was an eventful one. Brock Bowers being named SEC Freshman of the Week, which can't be surprising after a 3-touchdown performance. You have the location for the ESPN's Game Day has been put out both at Myers Quad and at the stadium, which is one thing that we kind of talked about earlier this week. But what about the game itself? Where does Georgia need to make sure they're winning, or they could be in some real trouble? I think if you look at it, it's one of Georgia's strengths. Arkansas is the number 8 team in the country running the football. 261 yards a game. That's a ton. If this game is close at the end, it's because Arkansas has had success running the ball. Now, Georgia, UAB ran on Georgia enough. Florida, a season ago, ran on Georgia enough. Alabama, a season ago, ran on Georgia enough. And I would say a season ago, Cincinnati ran the ball enough on Georgia to make those games competitive. Georgia, you'll know where this game's at after the first quarter. If Arkansas is running the ball effectively, you better get ready for a long day. Again, 261 yards. That is Sam Pittman football, 100%. It's what we saw in 2017 with the Dawgs, just lining up with really big people and pushing forward a lot. If you slow the run, if you stop the run, the game's not going to be competitive. If you slow the run, it's going to be tough for Arkansas to throw it. They're at 219 yards a game throwing the football. That sounds okay. It's about 80th in the country. That's not where you want to be. So this is a game for Georgia that's going to be up front. It's going to be decided by the offensive line of the Hogs and Georgia's defensive line. So that's where you look at the most. There's other stuff's an issue too for Georgia with this matchup that's not ideal. Arkansas is only allowing about 144 yards a game passing. That's where Georgia has been killing people, is with the pass. And right now the Hogs are 8th in the country in yards allowed passing. Now, we've only had 4 games. You get to coach, you get to adjust, you get to do things. But, Arkansas has only allowed over 20 points once, and that was against Texas. They didn't play well against Rice until the fourth quarter. So this is a team that, you can get fooled a little bit. You can think, hey, Arkansas really hadn't played anybody. I wouldn't say that. Now, most people wouldn't say that. You can say, well, Rice, they didn't play well against Rice. All right, Georgia didn't play well against Clemson. I don't think. It's probably the worst game they played. But Arkansas hadn't lost a fumble the whole year. There's a lot that's gone right, and it's not by accident for the Hogs. They don't really have a lot of penalties necessarily. They are penalized a fair amount. So that could be something that really hurts Arkansas as this game comes to fruition. And that's the thing. You let Arkansas play the way that they want to play, you're going to have issues now. Now, Georgia didn't let Clemson play the way they wanted to play, with the side-to-side stuff. They shut the run down so much. This is a different situation because even though Arkansas may or may not have the best offensive line, I can assure you that they are big, and that's going to wear on Georgia's defense. So it's critical, really. This is a game for Georgia where if you get a 10, 14, 17-point lead, that's gonna be tough for Arkansas. They're not built to come back from games. A year ago, you get a halftime lead against Alabama. Alabama's built to come back. You get a 14-0 lead against the Gators. For that Florida offense, that's nothing. But this Arkansas team, they don't make a lot of mistakes. They're only allowing about 2 touchdowns a game. You look at this statistically, and they played some pretty good teams. They got 2 wins over ranked teams, just like Georgia. Georgia only has 1. So this is Georgia's 2nd ranked game. This is Arkansas's 3rd. Now, they've not played on the road. So they played in Arlington, at Jerry World, but they've not played on the road. and Sanford's going to be really challenging. It has become a place that, in my childhood growing up and in my time in college and even after that, Sanford Stadium really wasn't a kind of a scary place to play. But somewhere around 2011, somewhere in that ballpark, it became a much more difficult place to play. I mean, I think the student section, quite frankly, is the reason why. They're there early, they get the job done. They're an impressive bunch. But that's going to be a tough thing for Arkansas to deal with, is when you're on offense and you're trying to communicate, how are you going to deal with 3rd and 7 or, stuff like that? That's tough. And they're not great at 3rd down, Arkansas, on offense. And they're 93rd in the country. It's not great. They have penalties. Not great there. They're punting. Not great. Punt returns. Not great. So there are, the biggest thing to me is I don't know how Arkansas has got 9 penalties a game, but they hadn't fumbled it away yet. So it's they are going to try to play you in their zone. They're going to try to get Georgia's defensive line to deal with them the whole day. I think that still probably favors the Dogs, but that's what Arkansas is going to try to do. They're going to try to win the way that Sam likes to play, which is physical in a phone booth. They got this big quarterback. Both the quarterbacks who played against A&M are very physically gifted, very physical. The starter is a big kid, all right? I mean, there's these, comparisons to Cam Newton. I'll see for myself how big he is versus Cam in person. You didn't want Cam getting off with runs, man. That's not something that you wanted to see happen. But functioning as a starting quarterback in your first true road game, I believe, for KJ Jefferson, that's not going to be – that's the part that – when you say, it's an 18-point line. Why is it an 18-point line? They got to go to Athens, man, and they've not played a road game. KJ Jefferson's been banged up during this most recent game. There are reasons to be concerned if you're an Arkansas fan. I mean, Georgia should win this game, period. That's just all there is to it. Georgia should win this game. But should and will are not the same thing. Again, the run game for the Hogs is the most important thing. And it's the most important thing for everybody, but it's even more so for Arkansas. I mean, that's what they are. That's what they do. Ryan Mallett's not there. Bobby Petrino, that's all gone. This is about physicality, point of attack. Are you setting the edge? Can Jordan Davis play, 45 snaps? Is if he's not out there, or Zion Logue, is he out there eating people? That's what this stuff gets down to, is how deep can you really be? How deep are you? Are your linebackers going to be able to deal with their running backs in a way that other teams have not? The answer to that is probably yes. But then can you force them to throw the football? That's not their thing. They have been okay doing it. Like when they've thrown, they've been pretty efficient, but that's not how they play. So what you want to do if you're Georgia is get the kickoff. Get the opening coin flip, which has only happened once this season, and then defer, stop them, 3 and out, score a touchdown. That's the easiest thing, right, to say, but that immediately would put pressure on Arkansas. When you start thinking about teams from the West that come to Athens, if they're not named Alabama, they just typically don't win. I mean, in this last decade, you've seen Vanderbilt win in Athens. South Carolina has won in Athens. Now, they play every other year. But, like, LSU comes and they lose. In 2011, it was, I guess it was 12 was the flip game with Arkansas, with Auburn, 12 and 13. So things kind of got screwed up there for a while. But the Big West showdowns when Auburn's not in town, those teams are not used to playing in Sanford. Now, does it make a big difference? Is there a big difference between playing in Sanford and playing at, Auburn or playing at Carolina? Probably not really, but it's more fans generally speaking than you normally go to. You're not familiar with the surroundings. Arkansas has not played in Athens since 2010 with Ryan Mallett on that, winning the game on the last play of the game. They don't go to Georgia a lot. So although Sam and people like that have been on the staff at Georgia, this Arkansas team is not going to be used to it. KJ Jefferson, if I'm not mistaken, either his first true road start or one of his first starts on the road. I'm not aware that he has started a game on the road, but I'm going to look that up right now. It's a challenging thing for Arkansas because this is a team, Georgia, that's hot right now, and it's hard to do that. It's hard to get to Athens and win. So I am skeptical, but I will sit there. I mean, I think people got to look at it and see there are things that Arkansas does well. There's a reason why they are where they're at right now. It's not exclusively Sam Pittman. It's what he's built and the physicality of the Hogs. This is an important game for both teams. I'm not sure who it's more important for, but I would say probably it's more important for Georgia because it's just kind of hard to make the argument that you're a top 2 team in the country if you can't win at home. It looks like he did start KJ Jefferson at Missouri. That was a game that the Hogs were up a lot in and then collapsed at the end of the game. So I stand corrected. I'm sure there will be plenty of comments. But, I remember watching that game, listening to that game, and I could not believe Arkansas lost that game, as it turns out. But playing in Athens is not the same as playing in it's not at all the same as playing in Missouri. I mean, those are just not even the same universe. So this will be challenging for for Arkansas, but you got to stop the run. Now, Georgia does pretty well at that, but if they don't do that this week, they're going to be in for a 4-quarter fight with Arkansas, and anything can happen in those games. We'll see you over on the website.